through the haze of pain. I swear I sensed... But no. The past is done and we must look to the future. At long last Nidhogg is gone, his foul spirit cast out once and for all. I only pray that Estinian survives the ordeal. Your battle with Nidhogg's shade will beget many an epic ballad, Serenia, and rightly so. It was without a doubt one of your more epochal victories, though I must admit but I took greater joy in seeing you emerge from the experience unscathed. And not only for your own sake. Had you not been there to aid me, those infernal eyes would still be fused to Estinian's mail. Yet, even with Nidhogg gone, I cannot help but wonder how much of our friend remains. Let us pay a visit to Lucia and beg news of his condition. Serenia, Master Alvino, my honored friends. As if winning Heavensward to our cause were not enough, you took it upon yourself to rid us of his brood brother. I know not how to thank you. My own contribution was hardly noteworthy. The two saviors of the day were Serenia and Estinian. One triumphed over Nidhogg's shade through strength of arms, the other through strength of will. And speaking of Estinian, what news of his recovery? The assured Dragoon was conveyed to the infirmary where he now resides under the care of our hospitalier captain. I'm told he has yet to regain consciousness. But as you know, Estinian's mind and body were held hostage for many days. We must be patient and allow the process of healing to begin. In the meantime, you would do well to rest and recover from your own ordeals. But surely, Sir Emmerich is never long from Estinian's bedside and will send word the moment there are any developments. Now, if I satisfied your concern, I believe Lord Edmund and his sons are most eager to celebrate your return. Very well, First Commander. Come, Serenia, it would seem that we are awaited at Fortum's Manor.
The heroes of the hour return.
Thank you very much.
We but did our duty, my lord. It was the memories of fallen friends and not our heroism which saw us through at the last.
I gave every ounce of my strength, but mine efforts would have counted for naught had the Warrior of Light not arrived to challenge the Great Worm. As a sworn knight of Ishgard, I had hoped to do more for my city.
Well, we cannot all be heroes, dear brother. Let us put away our pride for a moment and revel in the valiant deeds of our comrade. For your sterling service to Ishgard, we salute you.
For once, I'm with you, Emmeline.
And while we're on the subject of valiant deeds, I believe I myself have earned some small measure of recognition. Under my watchful command, the ballistas of the Outer Ward struck down a veritable swarm of Dravanian invaders.
My lord's command was certainly watchful. He bravely watched as the siege crews took aim, and continued to watch as countless wyverns met their end. Indeed, the ward's defenders proved so well drilled that my lord had little occasion to stop watching.
Honora, you are great. Basically, he did nothing but stood there and gazed upon what happened, and the soldiers were so good they didn't need his command.
There will be time enough to determine who is most deserving of recognition later. Our friends are doubtless weary from their exertions.
Yeah.
I had chambers prepared in expectation of your return. You are welcome to retire at your leisure.
I am most grateful for your hospitality, my lord, but I believe I shall pay a visit to the Temple Knight's Infirmary. Pray excuse me.
Okay. I can understand that.
Our master Alphino has grown. The plight of his stricken brother-in-arms pains him more than his own hurts. In which respect he has come to resemble you, warrior of light. Go then, visit the Azure Dragoon, and grant him what comfort you may.
Sure. Menelaine, you should really stop pining after Lady Laniet. She really does not want anything to do with you. Serenia, my friend, what can I do for the savior of Ishgard? You seek Master Alphino? Ah, he came to relieve me of my vigil a short while ago. When he begged to sit at the Sidinian's side, I could not well refuse him. But we would sooner faint when admitted the boy must be exhausted by Wayswelger's trial and all that followed. Estinian is blessed to have such devoted comrades. My own friendship with Estinian began some 10 years past, shortly after we joined the Temple Knights. I learned his name soon enough, but Estinian barely registered my existence. I was less a fellow recruit and more a shadow which occasionally darkened his path. And so I might have remained had fate not seen fit to intervene. While out on patrol, our company was set upon by a dragon, and we were the only two to survive. The experience forged a bond between us, as such life-threatening situations are wont to do. Despite our friendship, he remained an intense and solitary youth, wholly obsessed with claiming vengeance against Nidhogg. Revenge was ever at the forefront of his mind. Revenge for the death of his parents, and revenge for his younger brother. I would venture that in Alphino he sees something of a lost sibling. And in the ungentle chidings of Estinian, Alphino found the elder brother he never had. Truth be told, Estinian's tactless observations have saved me from disaster more than once. And I can well understand Alphino's affection for him. He's a friend for whom I would gladly... Lord Commander, your presence is required in the infirmary. Is he... Tell him I'm on my way.
Estinian!
No, he's alive. Good.
Cease your mewling, boy. It grates my ears.
Forgive me. When I saw you awaken, I could not... It was such a relief. We feared you might never wake up.
Now, Estinian. If Master Alphino thought any less of you, you would still be Nidhogg's plaything. Or dead.
Aye, 'twas but a jest.
I must admit, I would have imagined Estinian to look a bit different than this.
I thank you, Alphino. And you too, Warrior of Light. Quite how you managed to persuade Hraesvogr to aid in his brood brother's downfall I cannot imagine. But full glad am I that you did. It is an honor to share the mantle of Azure Dragoon with one such as you.
You too, my friend.
I, for my part, owe you an apology. When last we met, I did willingly loose an arrow at your heart. Can you forgive me?
There is naught to forgive, Hameric. You but acted in defense of Ishgard as is your duty. Were you any less single-minded about it, I would not follow you into battle, nor trust you at my back. Besides, I had come to the selfsame conclusion, that I would have to perish for Nidhogg to be stopped. So let us dispense with the hand-wringing. I have heard enough mewling for one day.
Oh!
The tendrils of Nidhogg's foul presence bound up every fiber of my being, usurping my senses, but I yet retained some trace of awareness. The worm's mind was as a vast and tumultuous sea. Endlessly its black waters churned, his grief and despair at Ratatoska's murder never calming, never receding. Driven by this surging current came wave upon wave of unrelenting rancor. It was the very image of my own heart. There I saw the dark reflection of the hatred I felt after Nidhogg slew my family, when no path remained save vengeance against dragonkind. Neither one of us had a choice. But I was blessed with something Nidhogg was not. Comrades and teachers to console and admonish me. Had I not had them to gainsay my obsession, it would surely have consumed me as Nidhogg's did him, and we would have been in all respects alike. Though his shade is banished, his spirit scattered upon the sea of clouds, I feel no joy at his passing. Where once I craved vengeance, I now crave rest. Lord Commander, my hunt is at an end. I would lay down the mantle of Azure Dragoon.
My friend,
He has tired himself with too many words. I doubt not that he will make a full recovery, but he must be allowed some few days of quiet.
I too must see my path to its end. Sleep well, my friend.
Right, so Emmerich wanted to step down as leader of, as chief of state.
Following the battle with Nidhogg on the Steps of Faith, Sir Emmerich called an assembly that he might make his final proclamation as acting head of state. 'Twas there, with one decree, that the 1,000-year rule of the archbishops was ended, paving the way for a new republic. The governance of Ishgard would now be placed in the hands of high and lowborn alike, their ranks represented by the newly founded House of Lords and House of Commons. Church was separated from state. The foundation for change had been carefully laid, and the reforms proposed by Ishgard's new government passed into law without incident. His duty done, Emmerich de Burrell gladly stepped down from the Archbishop's dais, only to be raised unto the highest seat in the House of Lords. Though he strove at first to refuse this honor, the unexpectedly strident voice of the Count de Durandare left him little choice but to accept. And so it was that the winds of gentle revolution came to stir.
I wonder, was that Redhead? Was that Count Durandare, or was that Count Desmel? Because he kind of looked like Tarusan from the Moogle Quest.
Prominent among the many honored guests at Sir Emmerich's investiture were the ambassadors of Dragonkind, a fitting symbol of Ishgard's newfound peace. The people looked on in awe as he soared through the heavens on Dragonback. And by their cheers did they hail him an Azure Dragoon for a new age.
Astinian. Oh, the one of the girl of the two children. That was the girl Vidovnir saved.
Thus were the notes of the Dragonsong rewritten. The din of war giving way to a rising litany of peace and hope.
Now Racefiger has his eye back. From the Memoirs of Count Edmond de Fortombe, Heavensward. Yeah, the bed is empty. We saw that he was leaving. There's Amarek. I was gazing out at the sea of clouds in an all too rare moment of idleness when I chanced to behold a certain hero wending her way towards the city on Dragonback. Welcome home, Serenia. Home? Nah, it was no grave matter that moved me to greet you in person. Between you and me, I merely sought respite from the pressures of office. No sooner do I surrender my role as temporary head of state than I am burdened with a position of more permanent responsibility. I fancy that it echoed in some small measure the way you must feel when your improbable feats of heroism are rewarded with still more impossible challenges. The myth which guided our society for generation lies in tatters. Am I then to be scorned for building upon the system of nobility that I once sought to tear down? And what strange jest is it that that placed me at its pinnacle, an archbishop's bastard at the head of the House of Lords? But these questions are for me to answer. It's not in a man's nature to change overnight. This I learned through painful experience, and it was this hard lesson which convinced me to take the path which we now follow. Even as we rebuild the bridges between man and dragon, so must we reimagine Ishgard, one carefully placed stone at a time. We must remember that it is not for us that we lay this groundwork, but for the men and women that our children will become. May their towers rise proudly from the fundament of our legacy. I hear word from Captain Whitecape that Astinian has vanished from his sick room. His willfulness survives undiminished. Should he ever happen upon our unmannerly friend on your travels, pray assure him that I shall keep Ishgard safe until he deigns to come home. Thank you, Serenia. And please convey my warmest regards to Master Alphino. You spoke with Sir Emmerich? I do not envy him his new position. Ishgard has chosen a new road, but one littered with the detritus of 1,000 years of broken faith. Yet though her people may stumble from time to time, I know of none better than Sir Emmerich to lead the march of progress. As for us, there remains the matter of ushering in a new dawn in the shadow of unscrutable Asian machinations and a seemingly endless procession of primals. But we too must walk our chosen path, no matter how treacherous the footing. Here we get an wind up Almeric, orchestron scroll for the song we heard during the Nidhogg fight, and a nice coat. Distant locales, new airship routes. Well, we may look at it the next episode, maybe, or some other time. You were one of the warriors of darkness, right? You had the black variant of a paladin armor I had. Including Cortana and the, what was it, shield? I forgot. Anyway, not the Zodiac, just the relic weapon. Asien and thank you, Bernhas. Nay, you need not remain there. We shall rendezvous at the usual place. All is proceeding as expected, then. Aye, there's naught to concern us, aside from one overly curious mouse. Ooh. This way. Alice, right? Him again. It is of no moment. They will play their part, and we will play ours. And thus did grey mists give way to azure skies. Man and dragon rise above, voices joined in song. But beneath shrouded boughs, beyond the scope of light, shadows stir. Floor of a Horde. Achievement unlocked. Yeah. But before I end the episode, one thing I still wanted to look. And I wanted to look if Sir Alberic's dialogue had changed. You can ask Serenia, a pleasure to see you return. I see what you mean steadfast in your pursuit of a way of a dragoon. How fare you? The recent revelation has shaken Ishgard to its very foundation. Amidst this turmoil, the dragons continue their bloody rampage. Deprived of their finest warriors, the dragoons struggle to bear the burden, but bear it they must. For my part, I shall continue training the next generation of our nation's defenders. Even with Nidhogg slain, the hatred of its scattered horde bears toward us is undying. An attack may not come this day or the next, but it will come, and we must be unceasing in our vigilance. So they did change it because, at least the last part, when I last looked here, you wondered whether there was a way to save Justinian from Nidhogg. So yeah, extra long episode today. Until next time, I'm Mace and don't get lost.